Let's take a look at that video again from the Rutgers University basketball program. The head coach there pushing kids around, using incredibly offensive language. It's the physical stuff that borders on assault, though, that has a lot of people calling for this guy's termination.
Fox 5's Teresa Priola in Piscataway this morning. What are you hearing, Teresa?
Hey, good morning, Rosanna. Good morning, Greg. You'd be hard-pressed to find an athlete who hasn't experienced some type of tough love, motivation from their coach. By all accounts, this is not what is going on here at Rutgers University. Coach Mike Rice, by all accounts, went way too far, physically and verbally assaulting his players, even using gay slurs. This is a story that is creating a lot of controversy on this campus, particularly because there is a heightened sensitivity based on what this campus went through with Tyler Clementi. Cursing, pushing, assaulting his players, spewing homophobic slurs. Snippets of the harassment some Rutgers University basketball players endure at the hands of head coach Mike Rice. Rice's explosive personality is on display after parts of his practices were uploaded to YouTube and then broadcast on ESPN. The university says Eric Murdoch, a former assistant coach, let go by the university, released the videos.
The verbal abuse, the belittling, yeah, I was like in total shock that this guy wasn't fired.
The school calls Murdoch disgruntled. Murdoch intends on suing, but Rice's behavior calls into question whether he is suitable for such a leadership role. Here's Rutgers athletic director Tim Pernetti addressing the controversy on radio station WFAN.
All that behavior was unacceptable, and whether you do it once or 100 times, one time is too many, which is why we took the punitive steps in the suspension and all the elements that went with that.
Those steps include fining and suspending Rice, ordering anger management counseling, and requiring a monitor at practices. All of that was done back in December after these tapes were shown to school officials. As the video surfaced on Tuesday, students on campus had mixed reactions. Senior Sean Bannon is one of those players being pushed and shoved on tape. He no longer plays for the Scarlet Knights, but he still supports his coach.
I thought he was a very good coach. He was very demanding from his players, but that was his style. That was how he got the best out of his players.
Others aren't on board.
It doesn't fly, it's not acceptable, and the guy's a real, he's a fiery guy, and if you're going to be that hard on your players, you should maybe win something and not be 5-20 every year, so they should fire him, not just for his performance, but also for what he said.
And this controversy is making such news that it reached the governor's office. Governor Christie releasing a statement on Tuesday calling this deeply disturbing. He also said it's not the type of behavior we should be showing our young people. Now, just a note here, Rice has 2 years left on his contract. The school says they have no intention of firing him. They did suspend him and they fined him. They said as long as this behavior does not continue, he's going to stay put. We'll see if that remains. That's the latest from Piscataway this morning. Greg and Rosanna, back to both of you.
Teresa Priola, thank you very much. We brought in a panel of experts to talk about this situation.
All right, we have Ed Mineta, a sports image consultant and former athletic director at St. John's University. BJ Schechter, SportsIllustrated.com executive editor.
And on the right there, Coach Randy Nathan, president of Project Next Gen and a sports bullying expert. Welcome, gentlemen. Look, we've all seen the video at this point. Do all three of you agree he should be fired?
Hands down, be fired. This is 100% bullying.
BJ?
Absolutely, no question.
Done immediately.
Done immediately.
Yes.
So, I mean, we've all seen coaches, and I don't, I'm not saying that anybody here on this panel has done that, but we've all seen coaches who yell at their team and who push their team around. Is this over the top?
I'll tell you what I think is happening. There's a culture that has been inbred. It's breeding grounds all over the country in terms of youth sports, and it's happening all over the place, and we turn a blind eye to it because we call it sports. It's wrong, it's unacceptable.
So it does
needs to change.
happen.
All over the place, at all levels.
Yeah, but this is borderline assault. When that guy threw the basketball at that kid's crotch, I mean, this is supposed to be fun. I know we've seen this. We've all seen tough coaches, but I want to get back to the termination. Somebody at Rutgers thought for a little while it was okay to suspend him for a little while, not fire him.
Well, I mean, there's a line. There's pushing players, and this is assault and abuse, and this clearly crossed the line. I don't know how Tim Pernetti or supposedly the president of Rutgers University could look at this video and not fire him immediately.
So he was suspended. He was brought back. Did his behavior change?
Well, whether his behavior changed or not is not the point. The point is what he did originally, and that's the responsibility. They talk about the NCAA talks about institutional control. That's the president and the athletic director, and they did not have control of this situation. He should have been dismissed immediately. They should have come out publicly and said why, and they would have had the support of everyone at Rutgers.
Now, Rutgers is a public university. This guy makes $650,000 a year. That is taxpayer money, or is it coming from alumni? Who's paying this guy's salary? BJ?
Well, largely it's from the university. There's also shoe contracts and endorsement deals, and there's a lot more that comes into this. But the larger problem is this is a huge black eye for the university. Any parent who watches this video, I cannot see how they would send their kid to Rutgers to play for this
Well, on
guy.
top of that, just a couple years ago, we had the situation at Rutgers in terms of Tyler Clementi. And it happens there, and there's a culture that's pervasive, in particular with sports. We let it go on because, well, man will be man. We got to make them tough, and it's wrong. It's inappropriate.
But you heard that student who was on his team
Of
who
course,
said basically,
absolutely.
oh, he was a tough coach, but, you know, I learned a
You
lot
watch
from
the other
him.
players sitting around out there, and they're going to stand by. They're not going to say anything. Well, he's trying to make us men. He's going to toughen us up.
Why? Because they're afraid they won't get played? If
They
don't
won't get played. They're not going to get playing time. They're not going to have a chance to be at that next level. If they can, you don't challenge the coach.
Well, but you mentioned this earlier. This is kind of there's a culture. I mean, I had it too. They were tough. I had a coach grab my face mask and drag me all over the place. And quite frankly, I thought he was an all right coach. But times have changed.
I disagree with that. I've been around a lot of coaches my whole life, and I've been around the Hall of Famer Lou Carnesecca, where they say it was old school. He treated every player with respect, and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame, and that's why players came there. So I don't buy this old school stuff, all right? There are coaches that think that the way to get to the top and to win is by bullying and showing everyone in the world that you're bigger or better than they are.
Political correctness, where does this come into play here? I mean, because we've become a society of everything is politically correct now.
I don't think it's about a matter of being politically correct. It's about appropriate behavior. It's about being an educator, being a leader, trying to help young men become at the next level of responsibility, and it's taking advantage and using intimidation. It's a basic bullying tactic to try to get some kind of response.
So how did the old school approach start in the first place? Why are there coaches out there? I guess maybe Knight most famously, that kicking over chairs and pointing fingers and poking chests somehow is considered effective management.
Well, I think there's a line here, and we talked about the line being crossed, and there's a difference between pushing a player and abusing a player. Now, you want to get the best out of your players, but demoralizing them and assaulting them physically and verbally is not the way to do it.
You're supposed to be teaching. All right, you're a teacher. A coach is a teacher. All right. Now you can get angry, you can get upset, but at the same time, the focus is really learning the sport, not personalities and not showing who's in charge and who the boss is. That's the whole idea.
But the
of college
teaching
sports.
line has blurred because this is a moneymaker for the school.
Absolutely, they make
and
a lot
so
of
there's
money.
a certain amount of pressure that's on the coach and the players to win. And even if you don't win, you still got to make money,
Well,
right?
that's part of what happens. And if you look at that, some of the words that he was being used, the homophobic language, the slurs. I mean, imagine some of the kids are on that team and the kind of role modeling it does. And all because we're talking about big money, big times, trying to save more wins than not, win at all costs, and you push the players. And I'm sorry, that's an incorrect message that needs to change and has to stop now.
Right.
Well, as a society, as a public institution of higher learning, we should know better. We received a huge wake-up call with the whole Penn State thing. Now, this is not Penn State, but it shows us that everything, everything is out there. Everything is public. We have to do the right thing. One way or another, we're going to find out about this. So, they should have come clean in November, fired him then, and now they wouldn't have such a black eye and a public relations problem.
You guys ever met this guy? Anybody here?
I have, yes.
And what's he like, when he's not on the court?
He's intense. He's intense all the time. When he was hired from Robert Morris, they knew he was a fiery guy. Whether they knew some of this stuff that went on in practice, that remains to be seen, but Ed will tell you as an AD, they should have done their due diligence to find out. This probably is not the first time he's done this, but he is a fiery guy.
And I think that was brought out yesterday, that they had done some research when they were vetting, and they had found out, and Tim Pernetti admitted that he knew some of the attributes that came along with this coach. So again, that comes back to the university and what the decisions they made and where they're going to do moving forward.
So when will they fire him?
I hope it's sometime today.
It'll be quick. It'll be very soon.
And does the athletic director or the president lose their jobs here?
Well, I think they both have to. I mean,
Really?
now they're accountable. The president supposedly saw the video, Tim Pernetti, who came from the media, should have known that this is probably going to come out sometime, watched the video and made a decision that was wrong in every single way, so he has to go.
B.J. Schechter, Coach Randy Nathan, and Ed Mineta, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.